Thanks, Angie, and good afternoon all, and how to put a dagger through someone's heart when you walk up to say you're just not hot. But anyway, there we go. Great to see you all again. I think it's 3 years since we were here in person. A lot of water under the bridge and a lot of things happened at Calidus in those times, and a big thank you to Reed Corporate for staging this excellent event again. Calidus, we are primarily a gold producer, I can say proudly now, after a few weeks ago pouring our first gold bar, just with a little twist of lithium added into the top to spice things up. So what does that look like? So Warrawoona, as Angie said, we're just out of Marble Bar. We're in the Pilbara of Western Australia, historic goldfield that we picked up just under 5 years ago when we first IPO'd. Drilled it from 300,000 ounces to over 1.7 million ounces, did various studies, permitting, financing, and poured our first gold a few weeks ago. We're now in ramp-up phase, and I'll take you through a bit of what's happening on site at the moment, into steady state production next quarter, and looking to expand to 130,000 ounces per annum with our stage 2 Bluespec development, which again we'll go into in more detail. As I said, a little twist of lithium to the side to spice things up. Our tenements, which we mainly picked up for water at the time, turns out they contain lithium as well. We did a deal with another tenement holder around us called Hyoma to put our tenements together to become the sort of get critical mass and the preeminent lithium tenement holder in the East Pilbara. We've called that Pura Lithium. We just announced that we're going to demerge that later in the year, and we've had a lot of success, early success, mapping out lithium pegmatites, and we'll go through that as well. Bit of a corporate snapshot here. 3 years ago, when I last presented in person, we're at 30 cents. We did climb to over $1 recently, but in this recent market pullback, we've suffered as everyone else, and sitting around the 80-cent mark. So we see real value with a 320 million market cap for a mine that is now in production with all its capital spent. Alkane is our largest shareholder. They've been on the register for a few years now. They bought on market, came in through placements, have been a wonderful shareholder. Board and management is heavily exposed to the success of this company, and we're slowly getting some more institutional funds on board as well, and that's actually where we're heading next, Sydney, Melbourne, to go and see the institutions. Recent addition to our board is Kate George, environmental scientist that's worked on the project with us from day one, so great to have a bit more of an ESG and environmental bent joining the board. And why I say that is without a social licence to operate, you have no licence to operate. So we've got various initiatives that we're pursuing at Calidus, solar farms, batteries, we're doing cyanide destruction, which is very unusual for a junior, contributing to offset funds. We've got a little bat apartment block for some of our protected species, some old workings we've set aside not to be destroyed. We've commenced upgrade of the Marble Bar Airport with the Shire and Atlas, so we can fly people in there, and that's a multi-user piece of infrastructure we leave. We do quite a bit of sponsorship in the area, have local contractors, and I'm pleased to say we have not disturbed one heritage site since day dot. So looking in a bit more detail at what is stage 1 and stage 2. So stage 1 starts off as one big open pit, very simple operation, into a CIL plant, 2 to 2.4 million tonnes per annum over 8 years. All in sustaining costs, we'll talk about where we're heading with that, about 1,300 an ounce according to the DFS. And then with stage 2, we add on a small little sulphide circuit, a little float plant, because Bluespec is a gold antimony mine. And we'll recover some of the gold, but then we'll float the gold antimony as well as a concentrate. And antimony is now a critical metal as defined by the US government. There was a little video showing our first gold pour, and that's our next one after that, 42 kilos of beautiful, bright, gleaming gold. It's wonderful when you get your hands on it after so many years. And you know, it has been a wonderful achievement by everyone involved on the project. Going back to what Angie said, Marble Bar, Guinness Book of Records, hottest place. Well, it broke another record in the last year in December. it had its longest run over 45 degrees. We had 18 days in December over 45. So to put a bit of a personal face on it, I'd just like shareholders and everyone to sort of think of the people up there doing this work. They've done an astounding job, amazing job under very trying conditions to get this built on time, on budget, COVID, inflation, that sort of heat. So the team up there should be incredibly proud. I certainly am of what they've achieved, and I hope shareholders are as well. And that team has really bonded through this experience and is certainly one of our main assets pushing forward. So what does stage one look like? So this is a quick fly-through, a bit accelerated here to get it done in time. This end where we're over, this is the top of the hills. So the gold outcrops at the top of these hills. So we slowly take the top off and expand out. And this is just a new area we've begun. The pit's 2.5 kilometres long, and we've divided into 4, and we sort of take little bits down at a time. And in a distance, you can see where we've taken the hill down. We've now flattened it out, and that will start to become a conventional pit over the next couple of months and start to go below ground. But you can see we've moved quite a bit of dirt already. McMahon's now, our contractor, now have all their equipment on site, 200-tonne digger, 100-tonne digger and 100-tonne trucks, and now ramping up well as we speak. ROM pad, we didn't have enough waste because of that gold outcropping at the start. It was a bit of a constraint. We're now getting some decent size on that ROM pad, decent ROM stocks. In the last month, about 150,000 tonnes up there. And our brand new green gold plant, green in colour at least. And it's performing very well. It's a GR engineering plant, as you'd expect, conventional gravity, CIL plant, very good recoveries, and again, we'll take that through where we are with that. That leads to a bit of an overview of what site looks like. Very simple operation, again, a real strength of ours, I believe, in that simple open pit, right next to the plant, simple metallurgy, bed that down. It's cash flow from day one. There's no cutbacks. There's no cash we're storing up to then put back in to do cutbacks. The cash we make is the cash we bank. So where are we in our operational ramp up? Well, it is early days. First gold last month. We've had a few weeks of milling. We've recently completed our performance tests on the mill of 300 tonne an hour. That's 2.4 million tonne per annum. Our recoveries are running, exceptionally well at around 98%. But the single biggest factor of any new gold mine, as we've learned in the past few years, is grade, and how is that grade reconciling? And I'm relieved and greatly pleased to say that what we're seeing at the moment, we've now grade controlled about 8% of the in-pit ore body, and the grade that we're seeing from the grade control model to our resource model is pretty well matching exactly. So that is a fantastic result that we always thought would happen, but with past issues with some other gold miners, it's always in the back of your mind. We've then started to see those gold bars pop out the other end of the plant, and pleased to say that the gold bars popping up are matching the grades that are going in. So basically we're seeing good reconciliation from the resource right through to the gold bars coming out. So that is wonderful to be able to report. We do have a couple of minor issues to rectify, getting more water into the plant. We're not getting quite as much water recovered in the plant as was modelled. So we've ordered some more pipes and what have you, and in the next 4 to 6 weeks, that will be remedied, and we'll be back up at that 300 tonne an hour from there on in. In May, in the last 2 weeks of May, we poured 3,300 ounces, so I think that's $8 million worth of gold, so not a bad start there for a couple of weeks' work. But with that in mind, there are inflationary pressures. We all know them, we all experience them every day when we go and fill up the car. And what we're seeing is, in particular, diesel and labour in the Western Australian market. So we're seeing most likely a 10 to 15% increase in prices in cost from that 1,300 an ounce, which is pretty well in line with a lot of the industry, I think. And obviously some of those costs can come down as fuel comes down, as reagents come down. Hopefully we'll see that drop. But even with that, with our hedging in place, where the current gold spot is, that's still over $1,000 an ounce clear margin. And on 90,000 ounces, that's 90 million free cash flow a year. as we move up to 130,000, 130 million free cash flow. And bear in mind, market cap 320 million. Stage 2, touching briefly on that. So Bluespec 75 kilometres away from Warrawoona as the crow flies. We're completing a feasibility. It's got delayed slightly as Western Australia's wall crumbled and we all went down with COVID. Our labs and everything else were unmanned. So that will come out early next quarter. The feasibility we'll be putting in for permitting at the same time, and that permitting should be ready by end of year or early next year. So we can press a button on Bluespec and look to develop that and ramp up to that 130,000. I think it's worthwhile noting as well, Bluespec East, we recently put some results out there, not shown on this slide because they only just came out, but 54 metres at 1.4 grams, 52 metres at 1.4 from 20 odd metres depth. There's a real potential of an open pit there. If we could get an open pit, we can get closer to the ore body, less decline, less capital. And all of those ore bodies are open at depth. So we do see Bluespec going on for quite a while from here. Talking about where do we go, we talk about an 8-year mine life and everyone says, well, is that all? Well, definitely not. Our resource only goes to 250 metres below surface. Most gold mines, mature gold mines in WA are 700 metres plus depth. So we're really just scratching the surface here. We put a few holes down in the past. There's definitely gold down there. What we're doing is getting into the pit a bit more, understanding the geology a bit more, then we'll look at drilling deeper at that point to start proving up the underground resource more. But we see many more years' life coming out of the underground and also places like out at the east. We've got some really nice intercepts out there. We've just haven't followed that up. We've been focused on getting into production, getting cash flow so we can start to fund some of this drilling. In addition to that, regionally, again, announced some results at Marble Bar, some high grade up there. We'll be following that up as a sweetener for the mill. We've talked about Bluespec, and there's quite a few other opportunities in the area that are stranded deposits that we'll start to turn our attention to. Now we've got the mill up and running, and we certainly see a lot of potential there to add easy ounces and easy mine life to us as we move forward. Touching briefly on lithium, as I said, we've got a 50-50 holding in Pura Lithium with Haoma Mining. We're in the right area. We've got 2 of the largest lithium mines on our doorstep. We've got Global Lithium having discovered Archer, again, right on our doorstep. Excellent infrastructure. We know the area, we know the people, know how to operate, and we've put together what we think are some of the best lithium tenements in the East Pilbara. This is what it looks like in a bit more detail. We target in particular one package of rocks, the split rock super suite. That's where all this lithium juice tends to come from, and that's why our tenements tend to be around those areas. And we started on the Spear Hill prospect initially, and we've only explored 5 square kilometres over 1,000 square kilometres, so really early days, but straight away stumbled across lithium outcropping pegmatites, which is fantastic. We're doing some scout drilling there at the moment. We've got people out mapping more. We announced again earlier this week the finding of another couple of kilometres of strike of other pegmatites, lithium bearing. So really exciting, very early stage. And because of that, we felt it's best to let shareholders decide, do they want to be in batteries or gold? So we will spin that out and shareholders can decide, instead of us saying we'll use our cash as a gold miner to put into lithium exploration, because we do want to grow as a gold miner. This is what it looks like on the ground. So when you walk across it, it's pretty evident. It's all sparkly and green and purple and wonderful. So that's why we've got people out there walking hard during the day, especially in these cooler months. So in summary, lots going on. Poured first gold, getting into that steady state production in the next quarter, starting to produce cash flow, ramping up the exploration and looking at satellite deposits for the gold, Bluespec feasibility, Bluespec expansion to 130,000 ounces per annum, more work on the lithium while we work through the demerger process, spin that out at the end of the year and look for our next operation, because again, as I say, we don't want to be a single asset. That's a higher risk. You tend to trade at a discount. We would like to get a second operation going on the gold, and that's something we'll be turning our attention to shortly. And just one final thing, because I have been asked by a lot of people, we are putting out a commemorative coin for first gold pour, modelling on the Klondike Queen old steam engine there. Has been a bit of a delay. The Mint's now got their die ready. That's how it looks. They've poured their first dummy run. We hope to have worked through our legal issues on these Shopify account fronts, and that should be ready to go in the next week or so to take orders for those, because I've had quite a few queries on that this week. Any queries? We're outside. Thank you very much, one and all, for being here and listening, and look forward to seeing you again shortly. Thank you.